Welcome to 32 and 32, where we count.
Anyway, that's beside the point. At the end of the day, it's a business.
If you're the Rams, you are officially coming off the absolute worst performance in the Super Bowl ever. I think Robert Kraft is peas in someone else's pod.
I mean, y'all Super Bowl wins are so old. I mean, the rings are probably to dust right now. So,
Not about the Eagles today. We're talking about the Bears.
Yeah. So, as usual, let's take a look first at their free agent signings. Thanks for watching, folks. That is today's analysis of the Minnesota Vikings. Welcome to 32 and 32, where we cover one NFL team every day for 32 days, all leading up to the kickoff of the season on Thursday Night Football. Today we talk Houston.
The Bulls from H-Town. Texans.
Texas, yeah. So I've watched the Texans every season, followed them a little bit every season since their inaugural season in 2002, and obviously the David Carr days
We're kind of dark.
but that was because they were an expansion team and really didn't have the assets or the front office to really build around them. But they've been kind of teetering back and forth on a playoff team and even a borderline Super Bowl contender for the last 8 seasons, I'd say.
I would say definitely within the past, 2 or 3 seasons.
Well, they had some very competitive teams during the Matt Schaub years. And I always thought Schaub was a decent quarterback until you got to the postseason.
Yes, especially, having guys like Andre Johnson out there as well. And but I think this Texas team, this is probably the best Texas team I've seen so far. Having a guy like Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson has proved that he is a game changer. That having him out there automatically gives you a chance to win. And I mean, we've seen how the Texans perform without Deshaun Watson, especially during his rookie season. Because before his ACL injury, Deshaun Watson, in the Texans, that was pretty much probably the best offense in the league. And when he got out with an injury, the Texans' seasons just kind of went to. But this Texans team, I can really see them doing a lot of damage next season. I can really see them really making a lot of noise.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson. Let's try that. Actually pronunciate. However, he's a running quarterback, and you always have that increased chance of injury, as we saw in his rookie season, of getting that leg injury to just end your season.
The ACL injury is far too common, but far too deadly.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about the Texans building a more sufficient offensive line so far? You think they're getting there? Because I feel like they've made some additions to the offensive line, but
I feel like they're getting there. I feel like they're progressing towards protecting Deshaun Watson due to his running tendencies, and they want to decrease injury because they know how competitive they can be without Deshaun Watson, and they know how down in the dumps they can be without him. So I feel like they want to build around their greatest asset, which is Deshaun Watson. I know I'm saying his name a lot, but he has been the catalyst for their offense along with DeAndre Hopkins.
Here's my question: do you ever think that the Texans will ever get a quality backup? Because, like you said, Watson goes down; they're pretty down in the dumps.
And we've seen what happened with Tom Savage. And
Connor Cook.
Yeah, and so I feel that's a possibility. And like I said, because of his running tendencies, there is an increased chance of him getting hurt. So there's your chance to get you a quality backup.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at their free agency. They were a bit active. Matt Khalil stands out to me. Obviously, they got A.J. McCarron and Joe Webb. So, okay, you got two.
But, it's obvious A.J. McCarron's going to be the 2. Joe Webb's going to be QB3.
Yeah. And Bradley Roby. Oh. Like I said, I have problems with pronunciation. Oh, well. Anyway.
Shame on you, John. But having A.J. McCarron, A.J. McCarron is a quality backup. Honestly, A.J. McCarron is a starter caliber quarterback. It's just he's never really had the chance. I mean,
being in Buffalo and then Oakland.
he tore his, he broke his collarbone when he was in Buffalo, and then Buffalo shipped him off to Oakland. And we already know he's going to be a backup out there behind Derek Carr, who is the franchise quarterback. But we're not talking about Oakland today, are we? We're talking about the Texans today.
Right. So I'm wondering what happened to the front office where they botched the potential Honey Badger re-signing.
I don't know what happened in the front office, because I do remember that. Tyrann Mathieu was on a 1-year deal with Houston after he left Arizona. Safe to say, the Honey Badger doesn't really play well with the front office. Like talking about,
Seems like he wanted to return to me. It sounded like he wanted to return to me.
But then again, he knows his worth and he knows what type of caliber defensive back he is, and Kansas City was willing to pay him. So remember, he was an unrestricted free agent.
Right.
So I feel that whoever threw out the biggest deal, whoever threw out the best deal, Honey Badger was going to go, and he went to Kansas City. And knowing the potential of the Chiefs and knowing what the Chiefs can achieve, Tyrann Mathieu had to, jump on the Chiefs' boat. But also, on their defense, having J.J. Watt out there, can make you formidable.
Speaking of J.J. Watt, I wonder, when are we going to get the old J.J. Watt back? Because it seems like the last few seasons he has had a real big problem with injuries.
That is also true. Also, him and Jadeveon Clowney both.
Who've been not so much Clowney. Yeah, he's had injuries, but that just kind of happens. But Watt has had season-ending injuries.
And we've seen the Houston defense kind of just, go to crap after J.J. Watt goes down. He is the heart of that defense.
Yeah.
And so that just lets you know, Houston were able to build some parts of their defense up, so when J.J. Watt does go down, they can still compete. But
you think the Texans should perhaps start looking for someone to potentially pass the torch to? Because of Watt's history?
No doubt about it. I think this is their time to start preparing for next year's draft and preparing for the next free agency to find a young defensive tackle, find a young nose guard that can replace J.J. Watt, because there's no telling how much production we're going to get out of Watt. Mm-hmm. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Right.
And so putting J.J. Watt out there could possibly be a gamble.
So let's take a look at we already took a look at free agency. Oops. The drafts. So there is a focus a little bit early on the offensive line, and then I include tight end in on that with a little bit of defense sprinkled in there. Like Lonnie Johnson sticks out to me. What about you? What do you think?
Titus Howard sticks out to me. He went to Alabama State from the SWAC, and this dude was a first-round pick.
That's right. He was a SWAC guy, and that surprised a lot of people in the first round.
Well, he's not the first SWAC guy to ever go first round, but still, Titus Howard. That's just how talented he was during his days in the SWAC. But my concern was going from that level of competition to going straight to the pros. Would be my only concern. So I'm curious to see how Titus Howard is going to perform, because I'm most likely certain that Houston's going to start him. I'm pretty certain that they're going to give him some type of playing time, maybe.
Okay.
To get a SWAC guy that high, you have high regards for him. There's no doubt that Bill O'Brien is going to probably put him out there immediately. I wouldn't be surprised if I see him out there week 1 starting at tackle. But like I said, my concern is playing in a SWAC, which is, no disrespect, is one of the lowest conferences in Division I college football. One of the lowest conferences.
SWAC's not Division I.
They're FCS.
Yeah.
They're Division I.
And even
Division I AA.
Even then, the SWAC is not part of the playoff system.
They're not. The SWAC nor the MEAC are part of the FCS playoff system.
Yeah.
So that getting a guy like Titus Howard, in the level of competition that he was in during his college days and going straight to the pros, I'm kind of concerned to see what his production would be.
Yeah, that's a real question mark there, because like you said, going from that level of competition to the pros, I'm just I'm impressed that Houston had the balls to take this guy in the first round.
I mean, and my suggestion to Houston is to make him a project, to build him up into the offensive line you want him to be the guy that you want protecting Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, you almost have to. I'm trying to think of who was the last player of that caliber to go in the first round. And I really honestly cannot think of anybody
I think
right
the
now.
last SWAC player I've seen go in the first round was Steve McNair from Alcorn State.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, because I think Steve McNair, wasn't he like a contender for the Heisman because he was so good?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he had competed for the Heisman, and FCS players don't compete for the Heisman. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, I do stand to be corrected. Just letting y'all know.
Yeah, one of the things that I would like to see the Texans do is get someone to play opposite of Hopkins. Yeah, can't speak today.
They had Demarius Thomas, but isn't he with New England now?
I think so. Wouldn't surprise me.
But
New England, just like
Demarius Thomas has kind of fallen off the grid a little bit.
yeah. Well, New England likes taking washed-up veterans and then turn them into Pro Bowlers again.
Look at what New England did with Randy Moss.
Moss was kind of playing in Oakland with a I don't care attitude. So.
Yeah, and then you put him with Tom Brady, and he just had all the motivation in the world. But then again, it's Tom Brady. Who doesn't want to play 110%?
Well, I could think of several, but I know it's on the not the opposite side, but Albert Hainworth. Albert Hainworth. Hainsworth.
So he's played on the same side as DeAndre, huh? Wait.
No, he was the defensive lineman that Washington signed to $100 million contract to get nothing out of them.
Oh, now I remember. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, Hainsworth. He's considered one of the worst free agent signings ever.
I remember that. That was a long time ago. My memory has gotten fuzzy. No, I do not have dementia. No, I do not have Alzheimer's. It's just I have selective memory, y'all. But I do remember Albert Hainsworth, though. I do remember.
Yeah. Came over from the Tennessee Titans.
Now I remember.
Played 1 year with New England, and then was like, yeah, you're not worth anything.
Hey, he made money, though. He got paid.
Oh, he got paid.
Oh, he got paid.
He got paid.
Trust me, you have some players out there. They'll get some these fat contracts, and they'll go out there like they don't care. Just look at Brock Osweiler.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's funny you bring up Osweiler because we're now talking about Houston.
Oh, yeah. Houston had brought him in to be the new starter, and he just did not perform to standard. The Brock Osweiler old. They're in his first stint in Denver. He showed a lot of promise, and he showed a lot of
Osweiler of old. He had like a 3-game demo.
And then, you know what I mean. I'm talking about when he was at first in Denver.
Okay.
I think you need a V8. We both do.
But Osweiler, I just thought it was hilarious that he signed with Houston for $72 million. They traded him to Cleveland, couldn't even make it in Cleveland, and then Denver gets him for probably what they originally wanted to pay him to begin with.
Well, one thing I can say, he putting food on this kid's table. Hey, he got money.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I definitely can argue there. Anywho, what are your predictions for Houston this year?
Well, if they can, because DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson has been the heart of their offense. If they can learn how to really really move the ball around offensively, defensively, if J.J. Watt can stay healthy and the defense stays on the same page, I could see Houston. I could see them being a playoff team. Not sure how far they can make it, just due to how the competition in the AFC has gotten fierce. Along with how Cleveland has been doing in the offseason, with what the Jets been doing. Of course, having New England going against, I mean, of course, Tom Brady is Tom Brady, Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick. So, I mean, I do see Houston being a playoff team. I do see their ceiling being, I want to say 12-4, with their floor being, I would say around 9-7, 10-6. I do see them making some noise and dominating parts of the season. So
Well, Houston has made the playoffs a number of times. I want to say 4 of the last 5 at least. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it's 3 of the last 5.
I think it's 3 of the last 5.
Yeah, I mean they've gotten in on a handful of.
The Bill O'Brien era has been kind of up down, up down, kind of to the side.
Well, I don't think Bill O'Brien's a bad coach. I just think he hasn't had that team that can really take him far yet. He did draft Deshaun Watson. It is under him that the Texans, at least for a little while, had a Super Bowl contending defense. They just didn't have the offense, and now it just seems like it's starting to shift the other direction. I would like to see them develop more of a running game.
I definitely would like to see them with that running game. I mean, Alfred Blue has been on that team for quite a while. I mean, I would like to see them kind of develop him more.
Well, you need a second and even possibly a third running back to really take the load as a team.
I think if Houston can, be more versatile offensively, I do think that they can have a contending team. But then again, I mean, they got a lot of the competition in the AFC is wild. I mean, we're talking about the New York Jets. We're talking about the Indianapolis Colts, New England Patriots, Cleveland Browns, Kansas City Chiefs. So there's no telling how far this Houston team can go.
And they are in a bit of a tough division with Tennessee, Jacksonville, and Indianapolis. So if you can win that division, I think you're a pretty solid team.
I believe so too. It's just we're gonna have to find out.
All right, so that's our 32-32 analysis of Houston. See, tomorrow we will be talking about Indianapolis. So, thanks for joining in. Hope to see you next time. Have a blessed day.